What's going on, everybody? My name is Hussein the Brain, and these are my NFL DFS picks for week 2. We're focused on GPP/tournaments. We're focused on cheap players and punts, contrarian picks, and extreme value picks. I got a couple pretty good stud running backs and wide receivers I would consider, but those will be the focuses for these weekly DFS videos. Let's jump right into my quarterbacks. Lots of great quarterbacks to pick, but I have 3 sleepers for you. Number 1 is Kirk Cousins. He is priced at $5,900. He only had 25 pass attempts, and that was by far the lowest pass attempts, like by a long shot, for teams that lost. And I was wondering, why did he only throw the ball 25 times against the Packers, and the Packers were the best offense week 1, absolutely torching the Vikings D. And that was because they broke a franchise record, only 18 minutes 44 seconds for time of possession. But I extrapolated that, which the average, of course, is 30 minutes, half of a football game. And he would have thrown just above 40 pass attempts if the time of possession was 30 minutes. I'm not trying to play the woulda, coulda, if game. I'm not trying to play that game. But I just wanted to dive deep. It's like, why didn't this team pass? And so at least we got a valid excuse, a valid reason, a pretty extreme stat of 18 minutes time of possession. That's pretty crazy. So assuming they'll get more than 18 minutes time of possession, Kirk Cousins would have to throw the ball. We know these cornerbacks on the Vikings need a lot of work. They're not very good. They're not gelling either with the safeties. A lot of people are open. They're facing the Colts, and Phillip Rivers could throw for a good amount of yards. And I think Cousins is just a super sleeper. Not even my top sleeper, but he's my second favorite quarterback sleeper this week. Pretty cheap price. Could be a sneaky shootout as well. My second guy, who was featured last week, this is actually my number 3 sleeper, so not too excited about him. Decent matchup against the Bucks. Bucks good run defense, maybe not so good in pass defense. That's probably going to change this year, though. They seem better already. They seemed a little bit better towards the end of last season as well, compared to early on in 2019. So, Teddy Bridgewater, 34 pass attempts. That puts him right dead average amount of pass attempts. Also, is he super confident? Is Teddy Bridgewater a gunslinger? Is that what you think of him? When you think of him, I don't think so. So the upside might be lacking, but like I said, I love the matchup. Game script is there. Bucks are favored to win by about 9 points. So Teddy's going to probably have to throw it in the second half quite a bit. Did he slide under the radar with the 19 fantasy points? I think he might have just slid right under the radar, even though my Teddy B and Robbie Anderson stack was decent. I don't know if he's gonna be chalk this week. I don't think he is. I really don't. But then again, I don't know if he has the upside. Maybe more of a punt for cash games than a GPP play. And kind of embarrassing to admit, my number 1 sleeper is this guy here. I like those dumb picks. I like the picks that other owners or other people entering these contests aren't going to pick. I love the contrarian pick. And this is one right here. Matter of fact, this is the perfect GPP pick. Matchup, check. Bears run game hasn't really been too good the past 16 games or so. 16, 17 games. He had 36 pass attempts, which brings it just above average for last week. I know that doesn't mean much. But what does mean something is, did you know that Trubisky was the most inconsistent quarterback last year? Only Daniel Jones was even more inconsistent, but he wasn't even the starter week 1. So out of all the starting quarterbacks, Trubisky was the most inconsistent. I always talk about these on the DFS videos. The word inconsistent has a negative connotation. That's just, how we talk. It's just what it is, just our culture. Actually, in GPPs, inconsistent isn't really the worst thing. It's actually the best thing. We want those cheap players that are inconsistent. We want boom or bust players. We want a guy like Trubisky who's going to get us 10 fantasy points, 7 fantasy points, or maybe he throws 3 passing touchdowns, uses those legs to run, get some extra rushing stats for us, those bonus fantasy points, and maybe even scores on the ground, and boom, gets us, 26, 27 fantasy points. He really has the ability to do that. Last week, he got 24 fantasy points. So, yeah, I mean, everything lines up. He's boom or bust, and that's my number 1 quarterback sleeper. Let's move on to running backs. My top 2 favorite stud running backs that I'm probably not going to resist too much and have in maybe a third of my lineups is Ezekiel Elliott. I actually see him scoring the most fantasy points out of all running backs week 2. A lot of people are going to be targeting this Falcons-Cowboys game. I absolutely love Zeke. I don't think they're going to be able to stop him in the pass game. In the run game, he should go off. What do you do? Last week, I really like what I see. I already see that Mike McCarthy's usage with Zeke is already better. He got 4 targets in the pass game. I just like what I saw as far as I have Zeke in a couple redraft leagues, and I like that. I think against the Falcons, it's going to be great, well worth the price. And even though we're playing PPR, Derrick Henry has 0 competition. Look at this, guys. 31 attempts. Also, he did run 22 routes last week, and I think that's the most he's ever ran, or most he's ever ran in the regular season at least. And no Deion Lewis, of course, this year. He's on the Giants. No Darrington Evans. He's out. And who's the guy? Jeremy McNichols? Hopefully I got his name right. I think he's the backup running back. He's really a nobody. He's really the only guy there. So 3 targets, 3 receptions, and 31 carries last week. That's insane usage. It's pretty much 100%. He's the running back. And he might get even more work in the receiving game. But I just see that as a bonus, right? He didn't get a lot of yards per carry, only 3.7 last week. That number is going to go up. And just the sky's the limit, right? And we like those 100+ yards, those bonuses for DraftKings. I think he's going to get that. Absolutely worth the price. Let's go to some more sleepers. And, I mean, not a big sleeper here, but definitely did want to talk about him just really quick. Miles Sanders is back. I think the price is great for Miles Sanders. He'll be the starting running back. He's been practicing fully this week. He's good to go. Will he split? Maybe a little bit, but still, like I said, the price is well worth it. A guy that I'm really targeting is Kenyon Drake. Now, we're looking at Drake. Chase Edmonds outscored him last week in fantasy points. The Washington football team, you see that red number right here, 3rd. That's going to scare people off. And also, the Edmonds is going to scare people off. But the price is beautiful. The usage was actually really good. Don't worry about that. Oh, sorry, the snap count. Usage was good too, but I'm talking about the snap count. The one that people don't look at as much. People will look at the matchup. They'll look at the price. They'll look at the carries. Not as many people would look at the snap count. I'm not saying that it's a hidden stat or anything, but it's one you got to click a few times, or maybe you got to have a premium subscription to find these type of stats. 51 snaps for Drake, 27 snaps for Edmonds. Also, they're on the field at the same time sometimes, and they're going to be. And so that's really a lot of snaps. 57 snaps for a running back is a lot. And don't be too why would we be scared too much of Edmonds, right? He's getting Drake is still getting his snaps. He just got off that walking boot, so it only could increase. There's really no worry about it. I mean, it's more of a bonus, if anything, because the Cardinals just run way too many plays. They run the most plays. And so that up-tempo offense, Kenyon Drake is the man. The price is amazing. So a lot of people they're gonna get scared off of Washington. They're gonna get scared off of Edmonds. Me, I'm just a little bit scared of the Washington front seven. Not scared of his usage or the snap count or Chase Edmonds. And so I'll be having him in more leagues, in more entries. But other people are going to be way too scared of Drake. That makes him a little more contrarian. One guy who's going to be chalky for anyone that knows the NFL, watches college football, that knows that's a good fantasy player. They'll pick Jonathan Taylor. The price is amazing, and he's going to be chalky. But this is the one time I'm going to eat the chalk. Jonathan Taylor, 5,700. How could you not pick him in some of your lineups? He's a must-have in cash, and I'm going to have him in some of my GPPs as well. Let's move on to some cheap plays and punt plays. Just really quick, these two guys, James Robinson, he's the workhorse for the Jaguars. Is that saying much? No, it's not saying much, but he's only priced at 4,400. He'll get the snaps, he'll get the carries, he'll be okay. And we got Antonio Gibson. Lots of upside for this guy in this game that we just talked about against the Cardinals. Could be a lot of plays. Up-tempo game. Price at 4,300. He's very explosive. Hoping he'll get 100 receiving yards or break off a big run or something like that. 9 carries, not too bad for this type of player. Only 2 targets in the pass game though. So this is, it's only 4,300. I guess that's my main analysis there. Why not take a shot? 3 guys I'm not going to be picking too much, but I did want to mention in case you got that super sexy lineup and you don't really have 4,400 left over for your second running back spot or your flex. If you only got 4,000 left over, or if you just want to be super contrarian, these 3 players. And so one is Chris Thompson. He is 4,000. I'm trying to bring him up. It's not loading. There we go. We got it going. 4,000. And he's playing against the Titans. Week 1 was terrible, but maybe he'll get some more targets in the pass game. Maybe they'll be playing from behind a lot more. Total fluke right here. That it's probably not going to work out. One that might though, because Tevin Coleman last week, he didn't get a lot of snaps. He really didn't do anything. And that was because the air quality was so bad. And because of his sickle cell trait and his conditioning, he just couldn't do much. Now, I don't know if he'll get more involved in this game, but I do think he will. After the Niners go up against the Jets, they're up by a touchdown, 2 touchdowns, maybe even more than that. I don't see why they'd keep Mostert on the field. I think it'll be a Tevin Coleman show, or I don't know if they'll have a 4th running back even suit up. I'm not sure of that. But Tevin Coleman, the price is right. The matchup is great. And maybe he gets, there's a good chance he gets a lot of snaps, like just as many as Mostert, especially with this game script. You want to keep Mostert fresh for the rest of the season. Should be a blowout by the Niners versus Jets. And then we got Royce Freeman. Again, not really confident in this. Seems like the Broncos are trying to feature Royce Freeman as least as possible. But 100% now, Phillip Lindsay is out. So I did want to just mention that as another punt. I got to give you guys my cheap plays, right? And I'm telling you, I'm not so confident in those 3. Tevin Coleman, though, I do actually like as a 4,000. That's the guy I actually might be picking. Wide receivers, there are some studs. Some of these guys are not as big and sexy, I'd say. So I'll go over them kind of faster. So the first one, let's start off with, of course, all these guys are really good. But the first one I'm going to start off with is Cooper Kupp. He's priced too expensive, but I think he's going to be the number 1 receiver for the Rams this week. He wasn't last week. Woods did much better. I think this week it's going to be Cooper Kupp. Look at this, guys. $6,300 against the $6,300 salary against the Cowboys, and now he's all of a sudden $6,700. That sounds like it's going to turn off a lot of folks. And I'm going to pick Cooper Kupp in a few leagues. I like it. I like it a lot. I feel like he's going to be contrarian. DJ Moore, $6,300. These guys I'm going through quick because they're not super sleepers. Last week we were on Robbie Anderson. This week I might switch it a little bit with DJ Moore. Hopefully he'll get more targets. And Amari Cooper, 6,300. Amari Cooper gets a lot of hate, a lot of it from me. Great matchup. Not really a sleeper, though. Here's one that I love. All right, this one. This one right here. Hollywood Brown. Okay, so Mark Andrews was the man for the Ravens in the pass game last week. But Hollywood Brown, 6 targets, 5 receptions, 100 yards. So he got the bonus. Why can't he do that again this week and maybe get a touchdown on top of that? So if he just got one more catch for a touchdown, he would have had 25, 26, 27 fantasy points. That's exactly what we need in GBP. Everyone knows he's got the upside. The matchup is there. Lamar Jackson's going to be a nightmare to defend. Love Hollywood Brown this week. One guy that I'm so bullish on, but I do have one concern with, is Anthony Miller, 5,200. Look, the matchup is the best. Okay, he's going against a really bad Giants cornerback, and he just didn't get the snap. So he's the guy in the slot. I think Matt Nagy is going to be, look, we gotta play this guy more. He's playing really well. This is a breakout season he could be having this year. And with all that said, I mean, he still scored 17 fantasy points. I think everything lines up except the snap count, which should go up. But the Bears are kind of dumb. They don't do things I expect. So hopefully he gets some more snaps. Targets go up and he dominates. Price is pretty good going up against the Giants, by the way. And we got a few more sleepers. Very excited about this one right here. Price is amazing. And that's Keelan Cole, who could be the number 2 option in that Jaguars pass game. We saw the tight end didn't really do much. It was Keelan Cole, it was Laviska, and it was DJ Chark. Keelan Cole only 4,300. Last week he got in the end zone. 5 for 5, one of the biggest sleepers. And what a great punt, right? 4,300. That's basically minimum priced. If you think about it, I know 3,000 is minimum, but 4,300 is super cheap for someone I would actually consider. Scotty Miller is 4,100. He's going to be super chalky. Let's be a little bit more creative here, a little bit more expert, right? And let's go a little more contrarian. Let's go with Justin Watson, 3,500, who people are saying might start at the slot. Now, this might be lies, okay? Bruce Arians might be lying to us. I don't know. What I do know is Chris Godwin's going through concussion protocol. He is doubtful. I'm recording this Friday, keep in mind. And Justin Watson's going to get an increased role. Now, I don't know what's going on, but oh boy, I mean, 3,500. He's the cheapest wide receiver I would consider. I have to mention him, and I'm going to have him in some lineups for sure. Panthers defense sucks, by the way. And I do have a minimum price player, but this is not going to work. I do like giving you guys a lot of punts, though, and this is a super punt. Chase Claypool looked even better than I thought, but he only got 2 targets in the pass game. Right now, he's the 4th option, or 5th option in that pass game. Big Ben has spread the ball to 8 people or 10 people. I don't know. He spread the ball to 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, and 4 wide receivers. And Chase Claypool was the number 4 wide receiver on that team. His role should keep on increasing. Don't know if it's going to happen week 2. Nonetheless, not a lot of options if you're looking at players for 3,500 or under, and Chase Claypool is purely exactly his minimum price. You can't find a wide receiver cheaper than 3,000. So he is my favorite minimum price wide receiver for sure, easily. For tight ends, Andrews, just like I was talking about Zeke and Hunter Henry, I'd still consider this guy. He's a chalky, obvious pick, a stud, super expensive, but that's just how good Lamar and Mandrews, as we call him, could be. guy I'm super high on this week is Hayden Hurst. He's getting the snaps. Now, he is on a new team, and these quarterbacks and tight ends on new teams have not been working out quite well. Really, anybody on a new team hasn't done too well, or at least needs a lot of improving. But oh boy, does this matchup just scream like he's going to get a lot of points. And even though everyone's going to be targeting this Cowboys-Falcons game, I think there's a good shot that people aren't going to be targeting Hayden Hurst, and they'll target Gage and Julio and Gallup and guys like that. I think they might not target Hurst. So is he contrarian? No, probably not super contrarian, but I don't think he's going to be chalk either. There's so many tight ends. People think so differently. I don't think he's going to be super chalky. I don't know, though. I really don't know. That's up in the air. Tight ends are tough to predict, even when it comes to ownership. I had a pretty good lineup last week, but I picked Tyler Eifert because I was very confident nobody would pick him, and kind of ruined my lineup. Maybe I would have won several $1,000s, but it didn't quite work out. Anyway, the best cheap player, this is super easy. It's Chris Herndon. Jets are going to have to throw the ball, obviously. They have no one to throw the ball to other than Brashard Perryman and Chris Hogan. Jamison Crowder has been ruled out. Chris Herndon only $3,400. Like, this is not a real price. This is unreal. 7 targets, 6 receptions, and 37 yards. So the yards suck, but still, you got 7 targets, 6 receptions last week. And now your number one player, not even because Lev Bell is out, number one player, period. Not just pass catcher, number one guy on offense. This is a Crowder offense. He's out. Chris Herndon is going to get a ton of targets. I don't know. I don't know how good the Jets are going to do, but maybe he'll get some points in garbage time. He'll get more. He'll reach value at least, like with that price, with those targets. My voice. Oh yeah, speaking of this Niner game, I think some people are going to overvalue Jordan Reed. I'm not hating on him. He's 2,600. He only got 10 snaps last week. Shanahan said he'll increase his workload a little bit. I'm expecting 15, 20 snaps. I think a super sleeper, and we're not even going to be able to find this guy, is Ross Dwelly, who I started last year in redraft one game, and he did very well. I think this guy's going to be the main tight end. Jordan Reed may be a better receiving tight end, but I think it's going to be Ross Dwelly. He only got 7 snaps on offense week 1. Jordan Reed, 10 snaps. But Kittle is out. I don't know. I just think this is a great punt play. No one's going to pick him. He should be, if he's not the starting tight end, he's a tight end too. And Jordan Reed's definitely not going to be in there for like 40, 50 snaps. He's not going to just replace Kittle. It's not going to work like that. So Ross Dwelly is my cool sleeper tight end punt. Love it. 2,500. For defenses, last week we were on Washington D, and that worked out so well. The absolute cheapest defense just absolutely crushed it, and that rarely happens. This week, I'm probably going to pay up for a defense, and it's probably going to be one of these top 3. Steelers are okay. I don't love the matchup, but Drew Lock is young. He's only played, 6 NFL games, and he's going to probably make mistakes. Steelers D is just worth pretty much starting or picking, regardless of the matchup. They could be the best defense in the league. But I'm going with the Bills or Niners. Those are my 2 favorite defenses. And I like the Niners even more than the Bills D. Bills D is going up against Miami. They're 3,900. And Niners D is going up against the Jets. Not looking good for the Jets, my number 1 defense. Now, if you do really want to spend less on defenses, I like the Giants as my favorite. I guess you can call them, let's just say cheap defense. 2,400 going against the Bears. Maybe their D-line can wreak some havoc. And we talked about Trubisky, even though Trubisky is my favorite quarterback sleeper. It's because he's very inconsistent and boomer bust. And we all know Trubisky could get 7.14 fantasy points. And that would mean the Giants D will probably do really well if that was the case. Dolphins game. Maybe the Bills offense stalls, so Dolphins D is 2,100. And then we have the Jets D with Kittle out, with Debo out. Maybe this is a low scoring game. Again, I'm not really trusting, especially the Dolphins and Jets. I'm really not trusting. And the Giants D is kind of like, if I just a change up to get another defense in there if I need to get a cheap defense in there. That's really it. I'm probably going to be spending up on defenses this week. Guys, make sure you subscribe to both YouTube channels, Fantasy Couch and Fantasy Couch Podcast. Come out with a new DFS video every Friday. Then Friday evenings, we're doing a Patreon-only live stream. Make sure you check out the Patreon. Lots of benefits, lots of cool perks for that Patreon. Guys, like the video if you enjoyed it. Dislike if you didn't, and I'll catch you on the next one.